glad that it's not raining, too. Great. Yeah, well, I don't know what they told you, but I gather that we're going to do short readings and so forth. I'm sorry to have missed the other people reading, but I've been busy here. Anyway, I have a short reading for you tonight from An Echo in the Bone, which is the new book, which will be coming out. We sort of hope that I will finish writing it in the next 4 or 5 months here. That is the publisher, I'm sure. Anyway, An Echo in the Bone takes place partly in Scotland, partly in North Carolina, partly in a few other places. This particular scene is set in North Carolina, and Claire has been out gathering watercress. It's spring. The winter snow has finally melted. She's gathering fresh greens. She hears shrieks of excitement and cold coming from down the stream and realizes that the gentlemen of the household are taking their spring bath. So she's able to get a good view of the proceedings for a while. After which she puts her basket away, and having seen Jamie take off up the trail to the clearing where he's planning to build a new house, she follows him.
What she does.
I waved briefly and turned up the side trail that led to the upper clearing. New house, everyone called it. Though the only indications that there might someday be a house there were a stack of felled logs and a number of pegs driven into the ground with strings tied between them. These were meant to mark the placement and dimensions of the house Jamie intended to build in replacement of the big house when we came back. He'd been moving the pegs, I saw. The wide front room was now wider, and the back room, intended for my surgery, had developed a growth of some sort, perhaps a separate still room. The architect was sitting on a log, surveying his kingdom, stark naked. Expecting me, were you? I asked. Taking off my shawl and hanging it on a convenient branch. I was. He smiled and scratched his chest. I thought the sight of my naked backside would likely inflame you. Or was it maybe Bobby's? Bobby hasn't got one. You know, you haven't got a single gray hair below the neck. Why is that, I wonder? He glanced down, inspecting himself, but it was true. There were only a few strands of silver among the fiery mass of his hair, though his beard, the winter growth tediously and painfully removed a few days before, was heavily frosted with white. But the hair on his chest was still a dark auburn, and that below a fluffy mass of vivid ginger. He combed his fingers thoughtfully through the exuberant foliage, looking down. I think it's hiding, he remarked. He glanced up at me, one eyebrow raised. Want to come and help me hunt for it? I came round in front of him and obligingly knelt down. The object in question was in fact quite visible, though admittedly looking rather shell-shocked by the recent immersion. In a most interesting shade of pale blue. Well, I said, after a moment's contemplation, great oaks from tiny acorns grow. A shiver ran through him in the warmth of my mouth, and I lifted my hands involuntarily, cradling his balls. Holy God, he said, and his hands rested lightly on my head in benediction. What did you say? He asked a moment later. I said, coming up momentarily for air, I find the goose flesh rather erotic. There's more where that came from, he assured me. Take your shift off, Sassenach. I haven't seen you naked in nearly 6 months. Well, no, you haven't, I agreed, hesitating. I'm not sure I want you to. One eyebrow went up. Why ever not? Because I've been indoors for weeks on end without sun or exercise to speak of. I probably look like one of those rogues you find under rocks. Fat, white, and squidgy. Squidgy, he repeated, breaking into a grin. Squidgy, I said with dignity, wrapping my arms around myself. He pursed his lips and exhaled slowly, eyeing me with his head on one side. I like it when you're fat, but I can't quite well that you're not, he said, because I've felt your ribs when I put my arms about you each night since the end of January. As for white, you've been white all the time I've known you. It's not likely to come a great shock to me. As for the squidgy part, he extended one hand and wiggled the fingers beckoningly at me. I think I might enjoy that. I said, still hesitant. He sighed. Sassenach, he said, I haven't seen you naked in 6 months. That means if you take your shift off now, you'll be the best thing I've seen in 6 months. And at my age, I didn't think I'd remember farther back than that. I laughed, and without further ado, stood up and pulled the ribbon tie at the neck of my shift. Wriggling, I let it fall in the puddle round my feet. He closed his eyes, and breathed deep and opened them again. I'm blinded, he said softly, and held out a hand to me. Blinded, as in sun bouncing off a vast expanse of snow, I asked who guessed it. Or as in coming face to face with a gorgon. Seeing a gorgon turns you to stone, and that strikes you blind, he informed me. But come to think, he prodded himself with an experimental form-taker. I may turn to stone yet. Will you come here, for God's sake? I came.